Hi, welcome back. I catch myself every time. I'm like, every time I say, hi, welcome back, I don't know why. So today's topic is going to be about my near-death experience. I like to talk about it and I'm going to need to straighten up my phone and kind of have my take on it, if you want to call that. As you guys know from my previous videos, when I was a child, I was abused in multiple ways. My mom left my stepdad, who had done all that to me, and met another man, and he was abusive in a whole different way. Everything but sexual. A bug just bit me and it's stinging. So when she met the second man, she left my stepdad, and a month later met this guy, and both of them are alcoholics. Very, very angry, controlling men. I won't go into too much detail. I was just restricted from a lot of things from when I was 12. He told my mother he didn't like me, didn't get along with me, so she shipped me off to my dad's. From 12 to 14, I lived with my dad, and then I moved back because it was a bad situation with my stepmom, a jealous stepmom. So I moved back with my mom, and me and this man at that time didn't get along. I was only allowed out of the house 1 hour twice a week, and 2 hours 1 day a weekend, and I was allowed 2 phone calls in a day at 5 minutes each, and 1 phone call out 5 minutes each, 1 a day. And there was more to it than that, but I won't go into much detail. But my life had got pretty difficult, and when I was 15, I started slicing my wrists. Didn't succeed at that, and I had done that several times. Back then I didn't know how to do it. Now I know how to do it correctly, I should say. And then when I was 16, a month after my 16th birthday, I finally had enough, and I overdosed on every pill in the house, from aspirins to narcotics, pain pills that my mom was on, muscle relaxers, and I took every liquid that there was in the house, NyQuil, cough syrup, you name it. I had taken so much. You know the big jumbo bottles of aspirin you can get from the Dollar General store? They're pretty big. There's like over 300 pills in it. Well, I took all of that. It was a brand new bottle. And I had a windbreaker on, and I think I filled both pockets full. And then, like I said, I took narcotics and everything else. Well, I remember going to sleep because I felt real tired from the medicine. And I remember either saying out loud or just thinking, I really don't want to die, but I'm just so tired of my situation. And I go to sleep. The next thing I remember was I was crying, and I was being led through golden white light, and it looked like gold dust, just kind of like glistening in the atmosphere around me and the person, which I'd never saw, walking with me. And I didn't see a floor, I didn't see walls, I didn't see anything, and we weren't like walking, it was more like gliding. And I don't remember the conversation that this person and I were talking. And then I entered a beautiful garden, and it was flowers of color that you don't see here on earth, brilliant, deep, just mesmerizing colors. There was a creek, kind of like a creek, a very small creek with clear water in it. You can hear it, running down the creek bed. It had like dirt in it, but the dirt wasn't stirred and mucky looking, and it had big rocks in it. Very pretty, just perfect, perfect. And there was a woman, kind of like in a robe, a Roman robe with a tassel. She had long brown, kind of wavy hair, and it was kind of like pulled back to the side. And she held a basket, and she looked at me and smiled. And I had a feeling that that was my guide, my guardian angel, however you want to put that. And then it was like bam, went from there to sitting on a lap of this huge man. I was like, now keep in mind that I'm crying, and I'll tell you why in just a second. I'm sitting on this giant man's lap, and I remember looking down because I couldn't look at him from the beginning. It was like I was sitting on one thigh, and it was protruding out from, I'm trying to explain it well. Both of my legs were draped over his thigh, and his thigh, his knee was still sticking way out. And he had a hand resting on my leg, and he had like gold rings on. And his hand was so big it about covered one whole thigh of mine. He was speaking a language that I didn't know, but I understood what he was saying. I was told by the psychiatrist, my mom admitted me into a psych ward after this. The psychiatrist had told me that in the Bible, it says this, and everything I'm fixing to tell you is what the Bible's supposed to say. He was telling me that he loved me, and his voice was so low, and it echoed, and it vibrated through me, and that was the feeling of love. The atmosphere was the feeling of love. When I looked up at him, his hair and beard was perfect, just perfect, manicured perfect, white, flawlessly white. And his eyes were brilliant blue, brilliant blue. And you could tell he was an older man, but he just didn't look old. His touch was love. His voice going through you was love. His eyes, it was hard to look at him because those were of love. It just went right through you. He was just so loving, and I was crying because it was so loving. I couldn't handle that much love. I was guilty because I tried to kill myself. So the combination of both was horrible. A horrible feeling that I couldn't handle it. And I knew it was a sin to take my life. I feel hoarse. But I was just so tired. I had nobody to protect me. I was my own protector. I even raised myself. My mom was never there to protect me or support me or anything. He told me that I'm here on earth to complete a task. And if I wasn't here to complete that task, I would mess up the timeline. That nobody is put here to do what I am supposed to be doing. And until that task is completed, I am supposed to stay and do it. My life was not mine to take. It was his when the time was right. And I remember just crying and saying, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And he told me he forgave me. And, you know, I more or less learned from my mistakes. And there was so much more said that I just don't remember. And over time, I forgot. The most important parts I remember. When I woke up, well, like I said, the conversation was real lengthy. But when I woke up, I heard this loud pop, like somebody just smacked their hands right by my ear. I woke up and I was sitting up in bed, which was weird. And I remember looking around like, what in the world was that? And my head from here up felt like it was chopped off. It was so excruciatingly painful that I laid back down and nothing took that pain away. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the pain. And I realized that I can hear my heart rate in my ear. It's like your ears were plugged and you can hear your heart rate. And it was going so fast that I was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I couldn't keep up with it. I started doing this and I couldn't hear it that well. And I'm like, did I lose my hearing? Oh my God, am I going deaf? And I started freaking out and my head was killing me. And I thought, I need to go get my mom. Now, keep in mind also, I threw all the bottles under my bed. I hung my winter coat on the back door, which was in my bedroom, because it was an old house. and I put my suicide note in my coat pocket so she would find it, because I never put my coat on the door. I crawled off the bed, crawled on my hands and knees through the kitchen, and I heard her in the living room, and she was in her t-shirt and panties grinding on the guy she was with, straddled him. And she sees me, and I motion her to come to me, and I had stood up, just for a second, and I crawled back to my room. And she comes in here, and I lied to her, and I said, I'm sick, I'm really sick. And she looks at me, and she's like, oh my God. All the blood vessels in my eyes had busted. My blood pressure shot up so high that it busted all the blood vessels in my eyes. And my mom was like, your eyes are so red. Oh my God, I've never seen that. And she turns around, and attached to my room is another room where the washer and dryer was. And all of the pill bottles and liquid bottles and all that was right in plain sight on top of the washer. She starts screaming at me. What did I do? She went and got the guy, my new stepdad, and he comes in here. For the first time, he was speechless. He didn't scold me, he didn't yell at me, he didn't do anything. But my mama sat there, and she was calling me stupid, sick in the head, I need head help, her usual thing that she'd always tell me, and how, stupid I was. She went and called ER, and they said they couldn't pump my stomach because it was in my system overnight, that I was to drink coffee and milk, and that would make me throw everything up. Well, it did. And I think it was that I did the overdose on a Saturday, and the Monday morning she admitted me to a psych ward, and I was there 2 weeks. And they figured out, the psychiatric doctors, that it was my mom and my stepdad's reason why I did that. He just told me, just hang in there. In 2 years, you'll be out of that house. Just hang in there. My whole attitude of life kind of changed after that. But he said that I should have had a heart attack, a stroke, lost my hearing, lost my vision, I had brain damage. It was a miracle that I came out perfectly fine. 3 days, I got my hearing back fully. I could barely hear. And this was the strangest thing. I couldn't hear a finger snapping, but my mom hollering at me was excruciatingly painful. Oh, the pain in my head was because my blood pressure was sky high. And so I did. I stayed there 2 weeks and got out, and I kind of looked at life a little different. I was positive for a while, but then staying in that negative atmosphere and abusive atmosphere, and my mom brainwashing me and all of this, I kind of went back down negative. It's weird how life is, and I was negative for so long, and after all that I become agnostic until recently. And like my other videos, 3 months ago I had this spiritual awakening, and I lean more toward Buddhism than anything. I'm pretty sure Celtic, metaphysical kind of thing. I do believe in God. I believe in a lot of high spiritual things. Now that I look back on that, my near-death experience, it's fascinating to me. And that woman I seen, I'm pretty sure that she is my guide, because the way she looked at me and acknowledged me, I knew. I think you just know. I didn't see a tunnel. I never saw a tunnel. I didn't see a white light at the end of a tunnel or anything like that. The first thing I saw was just like gliding in the air of the gold dust kind of thing. And the man in white beard and white hair was the only person I seen other than the woman. And now who was guiding me to him, I don't know. I don't know. But regarding my first stepdad, he had a massive heart attack, because when my mom left him, he met another woman that had a daughter. And he did the same thing to her daughter he was doing to me. She was putting him in prison, and he had a massive heart attack over it. Well, I had a dream that my sister, but she didn't look like my sister, brought his soul to me. He looked like, Beetlejuice, where Gina Davis and her husband were, what was it? There was a part in there, there was a character, he was just like drawn and just weathered, kind of like the soul was sucked out of him. She brings him to me, and she said, I think it's time that you forgive him. You can't hang on to this and hold such hate. And there's other words I can't remember, that I just need to forgive him, for him and for me. And in the dream, I looked at him and I said, I forgive you. And I woke up. And when I woke up, I felt like a weight was lifted. It was amazing. I'm like, whoa. I didn't realize how good that would feel. So for you guys out there, if you're holding a grudge over somebody and you don't forgive them, you need to, because you're supposed to forgive everyone. Because if you don't, it's not good for you. And when it's time for you to pass, you need to forgive everybody who's done you wrong. You I'm not saying enjoy their company and befriend them and all of that. Just forgive them, because it's attached to you as well. So that's my story of my near-death experience. I'm going to try to do another video soon. Not sure what just yet, but I'll put one out there. I hope you guys are doing well. I got bugs crawling all over me. I hope you guys are doing well, having a good day or night wherever you're at. I don't know why I say that all the time, but I do. I'm going to leave you guys now in love, light, and peace. Subscribe and like and comment below. I love you guys. Bye.